Have you ever felt like time has passed and nothing has moved? That you did everything right, prayed, waited, believed, and yet the silence continued? Then this message was made exactly for you. Stay until the end, because what you will understand here could completely change the way you see everything you've lived through lately. There is something happening in your life that you still can't quite name. It's not depression. It's not a lack of faith. It's not a character flaw. It's a specific pressure, the kind that squeezes you from the inside for no apparent reason, that makes you wake up at 3 in the morning thinking about bills, relationships, projects that haven't progressed, dreams that seem increasingly distant. You look around and see people advancing, and you feel that strange pang. It's not pure envy, it's a mixture of weariness and questioning. When will it be my turn? If you are over 35, this feeling carries an even more specific weight. You've been through enough cycles to know life isn't linear, but there are times when the urge hits to just stop everything and ask out loud, what is holding me back? The answer the heavens sent to deliver to you today is this: nothing is holding you back. You are being prepared, and there is a huge difference between being stuck and being prepared. The stuck person doesn't advance because the chains are external. The one being prepared doesn't advance yet because the internal structure is still being assembled. And the heavens are very precise in this process. They do not deliver before it's ready, not because they are cruel, but because they are intelligent. Let's speak clearly about what is happening with you. And I'll start with the most common symptom people feel in this phase: the sensation of stagnation that confuses everyone. You know this scene. Monday morning, you open your eyes, and even before getting out of bed, you have a weight on your chest. It's not a weight of acute pain, it's a weight of accumulation. It's weeks, months, sometimes years, carrying an expectation that hasn't yet materialized. You look in the mirror and see a person who has done more than many, who has learned, fought, made mistakes, and got attention. You need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. Back up, and yet you feel you're in the same place. This feeling has a technical name in psychology. It's called perceived progress frustration, meaning you aren't necessarily stuck. You may even be growing in ways not yet visible to the naked eye, but the internal perception is that nothing has changed. And this perception is devastating because it doesn't respond to rational arguments. You can list all your achievements on paper and still feel something fundamental is missing. In our culture, especially for those in their 35s to 55s, this feeling carries extra layers. We were raised in a culture where visible success is proof of effort. If you don't have the new car, the owned home, the established business, the stable family, it feels like you've failed. And then the weight isn't just internal, it's social. It's the question at the family barbecue. It's the look from your mother-in-law. It's the silent comparison everyone makes but no one admits. And what happens to many people in this phase? They begin to question their faith. They start to ask if God truly cares for them specifically, or they enter a cycle of anxious productivity, trying to force results, jumping from idea to idea, from guru to guru, from method to method. without realizing the rush is a symptom of the same problem, the feeling that time is passing and life is standing still. But here is the first thing the heavens want you to understand today. The pause is not punishment. The pause is positioning. Let's talk about something few spiritual leaders have the courage to say clearly. The heavens have their own timing. And this timing is not based on your anxiety, nor your agenda, nor the social pressure you feel. It is based on something far more sophisticated, on the level of internal maturity you need to have so you don't destroy what you are about to receive. Think about it with me. Have you ever seen a story of someone who received a large inheritance too early and lost everything quickly? Or someone who became famous too young and couldn't handle the pressure? Or a relationship that started at the wrong time and ended up destroying both people because neither was ready? The problem was never what arrived. The problem was when it arrived. And the heavens know exactly the version of you that existed 2 years ago. That version that still sought external validation to feel whole. That version that said yes when it wanted to say no because it was afraid of losing people's approval. That version that confused presence with submission and thought loving someone meant erasing yourself for them. If the provision, the opening, the opportunity had arrived for that version, what would have happened? It would have arrived with the wrong people, because you wouldn't yet know how to filter. It would have arrived with decisions based on fear, because you hadn't yet learned to act from conviction. It would have arrived and slipped through your hands, because your hands didn't yet have the necessary calluses to hold big things without dropping them at the first scare. The heavens weren't being cruel to you. The heavens were being strategic. There is a principle that appears in almost all the deep spiritual traditions of the world, from Roman Stoicism to the wisdom of Hebrew scriptures, from Buddhist practices to indigenous wisdom. And this principle says the following: the vessel must be formed before it receives the content. It's no use pouring water into a cracked cup. It's no use putting new wine into old wineskins. And cracks in character don't appear in easy times. They appear and are repaired precisely in the periods of pressure you have been living through. Every time you chose to be honest when lying would have been easier, you were being forged. Every time you set a difficult boundary, even losing a friendship or an opportunity, you were being forged. Every time you stayed silent when you wanted to scream and used that silence to learn instead of consume, you were being forged. The forge is not punishment. The forge is the process of creating something resilient. Something specific happens to sensitive people. And when I say sensitive, I'm not talking about weakness. I'm talking about depth of perception, which is the tendency to interpret their own sensitivity as a defect. If you are someone who feels too much, who perceives things before others, who absorbs the energy of environments and people, who cries over situations others wouldn't even notice, you've probably had people try to convince you this is a problem. They've said you're too dramatic and too emotional, too complicated. And what does a sensitive person do after hearing this for years? They begin to harden. They learn to hide what they feel. They build an armor of silence and competence to never again be seen as vulnerable. And for a while it works. You become efficient, productive, strong in appearance. But inside, that sensitivity didn't disappear. It just went underground. And there it kept working, perceiving injustices, feeling imbalances, noticing when something is wrong long before others see it. The heavens didn't make a mistake when they made you this way. Your sensitivity is not a bug, it's a feature. People who feel deeply are the only ones capable of administering impact with care. A leader without sensitivity uses power like a bulldozer. A leader with sensitivity uses power like a scalpel, precise, intentional, capable of healing. The pressure you've lived under lately didn't destroy your sensitivity, it refined it. You moved from someone who feels everything and becomes paralyzed, to someone who feels everything and chooses wisely what to do with what they feel. That is a huge evolution. And many people never get there. I need to talk about something that has probably touched your life in a way you haven't fully processed yet, the relationships that fell apart. In recent years, you lost connections, some dramatically, a fight, a betrayal, a sudden distance, others gradually, those friendships that became shallower and shallower until they disappeared without ceremony. And some you chose to let go of yourself, even though it hurt, because you realized certain people weren't helping you grow, and each of those losses left a mark. Sometimes the mark came with a question: did I do wrong? Sometimes with guilt: did I overreact? Sometimes with longing for something that never was what you idealized. But here is what the heavens want you to understand about every connection that fell apart. It didn't withstand because it wasn't meant to go with you to the next level. That doesn't mean the people were bad. It means the destiny alignment was different. And when you begin to change, to become more whole, clearer about your values, less willing to compromise on what you know is true, naturally, some people can't keep up with that change. It's as if you are changing frequency. Radios that picked up the old signal stop tuning in, and that's frightening because it feels like loneliness. But what is actually happening is that space is being made for connections that operate on the same frequency you are on now. Have you noticed that the more authentic you become, the more the people who come into your life seem to make sense? They aren't necessarily more numerous, sometimes they are fewer, but they have a depth the old ones didn't. That's not coincidence. It's alignment. The rejections you experienced weren't destiny saying you have no worth. They were destiny saying that was not your place. And there's a huge difference between having no worth and not belonging in a particular space. There is a fascinating concept in neuroscience called cognitive incubation. Researchers have found that some of the greatest insights and creative solutions of the human brain happen not when we are actively thinking about the problem, but when we are at rest, sleeping, or doing automatic activities like showering or walking. The brain keeps working in the background even when you're not conscious of it. Now, apply that principle on a spiritual scale. While you were living your daily life, paying bills, caring for your children, going to work, trying to keep your head above water, there is an organization happening behind the scenes of your life that is beyond your capacity to control or even perceive. Conversations that haven't happened yet but are being prepared. People who haven't entered your story yet, but whose paths are being aligned with yours. Resources that exist, but still need to arrive through the right door, not the door of desperate need, but the door of strategic alignment. The heavens don't work on a model of immediate reward for merit. They work on a model of maturation, like a seed that needs time under the soil before it germinates. If you dig up the seed too early to see if it's growing, you kill the process. Faith requires that you leave some things in the dark long enough for them to develop. And here is a fact that might change your perspective. In studies on human resilience conducted by the University of Pennsylvania, researchers identified that people who went through prolonged periods of adversity before achieving significant accomplishments showed much higher rates of emotional stability, leadership capacity, and lasting satisfaction with what they achieved, compared to people who reached the same results more quickly and easily. In other words, the time you are taking is not waste. It is building the capacity to sustain what is coming with balance, rather than being thrown off balance by it. Let me ask you something personal. How is your prayer life today compared to 5 years ago? If you are a person of faith, you've likely noticed a shift in how you pray. It used to be perhaps more urgent, more full of specific petitions, more performative. You would plead with fervor, with tears, with an intensity that almost felt like the volume of your voice determined your chance of being heard. Today, many people in this season of refinement describe prayer differently. Fewer words, more presence, Sometimes it's sitting in silence and simply existing before the sacred without asking for anything. Sometimes it's an honest phrase spoken with weariness and no frills. I trust, even though I don't understand. And there's a tendency to interpret this change as a spiritual cooling off, as if less intense faith is lesser faith. But what's actually happening is precisely the opposite. It's faith that has matured enough to no longer need emotional adrenaline to stay alive. It's like the difference between a new love and a mature love. New love is intense, dramatic, full of highs and lows, of insecurity and constant reassurance. Mature love doesn't have that emotional intensity all the time, but it has something far more valuable. It has roots, it has stability, it has a quiet certainty that doesn't need to prove itself every hour. Your faith now has roots, and roots aren't visible on the surface, but they are what hold the tree steady when the storm comes. Heaven speaks more clearly precisely when words fail. In the silence of your honest presence, more is communicated than in hours of frantic petition. You are not distant, you are closer than ever, just in a different way than you were accustomed to. There is a specific moment in every spiritual preparation process where things shift. It's not a dramatic event with thunder and lightning. It's a subtle change in perception. It's like when your eyes adjust to the dark and you begin to see what was there all along, but invisible to you. That moment is arriving for you. Or perhaps it's already happening as you listen to this. The signs are specific. You begin to have a quiet clarity about decisions that once seemed impossible to make. You notice you're no longer obsessed with how things will happen. You're focused on who you are becoming. This order matters immensely. Heaven funds alignment before it funds expansion. When identity stabilizes, resources follow naturally. You begin to notice coincidences that seem too specific to be random. A conversation that happens at just the right time. A piece of information that arrives through the most unexpected channel. A door you weren't even trying to open that suddenly appears unlocked. These are not accidents. They are the first fruits of a structure that was built in silence during this entire period of waiting. And there's something important that needs to be said here. What is coming will not arrive with anxiety attached. This is one of the most telling characteristics of what arrives at the right time. It comes with clarity, not confusion. You will know it is for you not because it will create more questions, but because it will resolve questions you've carried for a long time. But here is something that needs to be said carefully, because many people in this transitional phase make a specific mistake. They interpret the tension they still feel as a sign that something is wrong. It is not. The tension you still feel is the frontier of transition. It is the space between what was and what is arriving. It is the natural sensation of one standing on the threshold, one foot still in the old territory, the other already pointing toward the new. Think of the butterfly. In the moment, just before it emerges from the chrysalis, the internal pressure is at its peak. It is precisely when it seems most difficult that the breakthrough is closest. If someone on the outside tried to help by cutting the chrysalis to make it easier, the butterfly would die, because it is the resistance of the chrysalis itself that strengthens the wings for flight. The tension you feel is not a sign of a problem. It is a sign of transformation in progress. And the angels, whatever you call those unseen forces that work on behalf of life, who witnessed your tears in private in the moments you were completely alone and had no way to pretend to anyone that you were okay, those same forces are now positioning themselves to support your movement. You do not walk alone. You are being guided by hands you do not yet see, but will soon recognize by the fruit that appears. What no one tells you about navigating transitions, there is an aspect of spiritual transition that almost no one speaks about openly, and it causes so much unnecessary suffering in people who are exactly where you are right now. It's this: In the weeks and months immediately before a significant breakthrough, life often becomes even more intense. Not easier, more intense. It's as if everything that still needs to be resolved, confronted, and released rises to the surface all at once. Relationships that were in a holding pattern reach a point of definition. Financial situations that were unclear demand a decision. Emotions you've stored for years without processing come back in full force, sometimes without any apparent reason. You're driving, listening to a song, and suddenly the tears come without warning. This is frightening. The tendency is to interpret it as a setback. I thought I was getting better, but it's getting harder. No, you are not moving backward. You are at the peak of pressure before the opening. Think of a kettle. The water doesn't boil in a linear, gentle progression. It heats up, heats up, heats up, and at a certain point, it suddenly boils. There is a qualitative leap that doesn't feel gradual. For the one inside the process, it feels like nothing was happening, nothing was happening, nothing was happening. And then, suddenly, everything happens. You are close to boiling. And what seems like chaos in this moment is actually accelerated reorganization. That's why, if you are going through a phase where it seems like everything is moving at once, where the ground feels unsteady, where you don't know exactly where you will land, this is not a sign that you took a wrong turn. It is a sign that you have reached the point where the old no longer fits and the new is not yet completely visible. This space between worlds is uncomfortable by definition, but it is sacred. It is where great transformations happen. The gift that came disguised as pain. There is something that needs to be said about the losses you have lived through. And it's not the obvious thing everyone says, like everything happens for a reason or God knows what he's doing. That may be true, but when you are in the middle of pain, phrases like that sound hollow. What I want to say is more concrete. Every loss you have crossed without being destroyed taught you something no course, book, or sermon could have taught you. It taught you how you function under real pressure. It showed you your true limits. Not the limits you imagined you had in theory, but the limits you discovered in practice when you were up against the wall and still chose not to break what you knew to be right. This is a form of knowledge that is priceless. And it is exactly this knowledge that will make you capable of helping other people when they come to you with similar pain. You will not speak of suffering theoretically. You will speak from within. And people will feel the difference. There is an expression that comes from the tradition of midwives, women who helped with births before modern medicine existed, that says, "Only those who have felt a contraction know where to place their hands." That's it. Your pain has made you precise. It has made you capable of coming close to another's suffering without recoiling, without trying to fix it too quickly, without minimizing. You know how to sit with someone in the dark because you yourself sat in the dark long enough to learn that the dark does not kill. This is a gift, and it came wrapped in something that felt like a curse for a very long time. Your voice is being called here, is something heaven wants you to understand with special attention. There was a reason for your silence, and that reason was not cowardice, it was preparation. You kept silent because you were healing, you were learning, you were observing with that heightened sensitivity you possess, absorbing patterns others didn't notice, understanding dynamics that only become visible to those with the patience to observe long enough. You did not speak because you were still becoming, and a person who is still becoming has wisdom in guarding what is being formed. You don't put unripe fruit up for sale. You don't offer wine that is still fermenting. There was a sacred care in your silence. But this season is ending. Heaven did not train you in quietness to keep you quiet forever. It trained you in quietness so that when your voice emerged, it would emerge with weight, with substance, with the authority of one who has carried something important long enough to understand it deeply. There is a difference between speaking from emotional impulse and speaking from mature conviction. Emotional impulse shouts, says everything at once, and soon empties out. Mature conviction speaks at the right time, with the right words, and resonates in a way that endures. Your voice, what you have to say, to do, to create, to contribute, is now mature enough to flow through you without fear. Not because the risks have disappeared, but because you have developed the capacity to move even in the presence of risk, because you know that what you carry is worth the cost of carrying it in public. What is coming? Clarity about the new phase. When this transition completes, and it is completing now, here is what you can expect. Not as a magical promise, but as an observable pattern in the lives of people who have reached the other side of this kind of refinement. First, decisions will become clearer, not necessarily easier, but clearer. You will know what to do even when you are not sure of the outcome, because you will act from identity and not from fear. Second, the right people will appear, not in immediate abundance, but with a quality you will recognize immediately. Conversations will have a different depth. Partnerships will have real alignment. Relationships will have genuine reciprocity. Third, resources will begin to move. This may sound nebulous, but it works like this. When you are internally aligned and begin to move with clarity, you start to perceive opportunities that were always there, but were invisible to you in your previous internal state. A contact you hadn't approached, a skill you hadn't monetized, a need in the market you hadn't connected with what you know how to do. Heaven doesn't create money out of thin air. It reorganizes perceptions. And reorganized perceptions lead to different actions, which lead to different results. Fourth, and this is the most important, you will stop feeling out of place. That persistent feeling of, this isn't it, this isn't right, this isn't the person, which you have likely carried for years like an internal GPS pointing towards something you hadn't yet found. This feeling will transform into recognition. You will begin to feel at home, in the right place, with the right people, doing what you came to do. A direct message for you. I need to speak to you directly now, as someone who understands the weight of what you have carried. You have been tested in ways many people did not see. You smiled in public, carrying things that were not light. You kept faith in moments when any reasonable person would have given up. You chose integrity when ethical flexibility would have been more comfortable. You remained faithful to something inside you even when the external environment confirmed absolutely nothing. This has a name. This is called character. And character is not bought, financed, or made in a quick course. Character is forged exactly in the kind of fire you have walked through. And here is what character does. It sustains the weight of destiny. Because destiny without character is a slow-motion catastrophe. You see this all the time. People with enormous talent who implode when they reach success because inside there wasn't enough structure to support what arrived from the outside. You have been preserved from that trap, not because you are superior to anyone, but because what is being built in your life has a scale that required a very specific foundation, and that foundation took the time it took to become ready. Now it is ready. The final invitation. So what heaven sends to tell you today, in this message that arrived at the right moment, is this. Stop interpreting your story as a delay. Start reading it as preparation. Every chapter that seemed meaningless is part of a narrative that is only now revealing its complete structure. Stop apologizing for the depth you possess. It is what will make you capable of guiding others without crushing them. Stop waiting for someone on the outside to validate what heaven has already confirmed inside. You already know, you already feel. The wait now is no longer for confirmation. It is merely for the right moment to begin to move. And move, not with anxious haste, with deliberate rooted steps that come from one who knows where they are going. The silence has fulfilled its role. It was your shield while you were being formed. Now it transforms into something different. It becomes your strength. The capacity to operate with a quiet presence in a noisy world. The capacity to speak with conviction without needing to raise your voice. The capacity to lead without needing to dominate. You are being called to leave the cocoon. Not because the cocoon was bad, but because you are ready to fly. And all of heaven is cheering for you. If this message touched something real within you, I need you to do one thing now. Write in the comments the word ready. Not because it's a magical ritual, but because declaring something publicly is an act of commitment to yourself. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.